Back with Doom Patrol, which might be a little weird considering the fact that I'm currently having some stuff going on my channel. But at the moment, Doom Patrol reviews are pretty easy to make, and along with all TV show reviews, are pretty easy to make. And it's a lot easier for me to exactly make these while also focusing on school, mental health, and other stuff. Because some videos take forever to make, which is a big reason why I'm trying to take a little break. But Doom Patrol, I think, is a very easy thing to talk about, and is one of my personal favorite shows of all time, so I'm still going to be making reviews about it. First, I want to talk about Rita, who is definitely the star of this episode. I think Rita is being affected by being kicked off as team leader more than anyone else expected from the team, as I believe they thought it would have been okay if she was, back down. But seeing the fact that she's being kicked off, and I think really affected her with the whole idea that they don't think that she's right to, lead, along with replacing her with Madame Rouge, the person she absolutely hates most. And I like the idea that a big thing that makes her feel better is watching her own movies, which is a little bit narcissistic when you think about it, but it's not a bad thing because it's not like she's hurting anyone by wanting to watch her old movies. It's more like self-indulgence, and I think it was very realistic because I think if you yourself was in a movie, seeing yourself on screen and people praise you about it would probably make you feel really good, wouldn't it? I also really like the idea that the character has a more or less complex emotions towards the Doom Patrol, because while she's angry at them, she still considers them family, and I loved her speech at the end when she's talking about it. Also, it's helped by the great Doom Patrol theme soundtrack, which is always great in every single scene. I love the soundtrack of the show. And personally, I think Rita this episode was just a great character. Rita's always a great character, but this season I think she's really, really coming into her own. I also really like how realistic it was for Victor to go meet his old friends, with how it's kind of awkward for them to talk again, because I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. Of course, not because you're a cyborg, but because you haven't talked to these people for a long time. And I really like how he felt awkward, but was really trying, but some things they said kind of made him feel uncomfortable, like how they were talking about him used to being unbreakable. And although one of their friends especially seems like an a-hole when he told him to shut up. I mean, I know friends do that kind of thing as a joke, but it didn't come across as a joke. It seemed like he was generally telling him to shut up. Maybe I misread it, but I thought that was a little weird. Personally, I think Victor is a great character, and I like seeing how he is trying to be his old self, but also trying to be a new person at the same time. I think it really makes him come across a very realistic character with very complex emotions, because he does want to be a normal person, but also misses being not normal. And it comes across very, in my opinion at least, very much different for the character, because a lot of times in the character has always been portrayed as a man or machine. Here I feel like it comes across as he kind of wants to be both at the same time, which I think is an interesting portrayal of the character, and I'm really, really into it. Next, I want to talk about Crazy Jane. I'm really liking Jane's storyline this season with the puzzle she herself is putting together, along with her trying to find her purpose. I love it seems that her and the Fog might have a similar purpose together. I think Shelley Bryan is definitely coming back. I mean, we know she's coming back, but I'm hoping she comes back for a bigger role than last season, because I think Shelley Bryan is, in my opinion, the best member of the Sisterhood of Dada. So I'd like to her and Jane perhaps have more scenes together, because their scenes from last season I thought was very, very good, and I really like their flirtation. I also like how it's trying to focus on how maybe she feels, or how she's trying to make it come across like she is just Kay's protector, but in reality, she has her own emotions. She's her own separate person. As it also seems like she's maybe more advanced than the other personalities, because unlike the others, it feels like she might be not just, a part of the whole cave stuff going down there. I think it perhaps could be Jane herself feels like a completely different individual than others. Oh yes, they all feel different. I feel like a lot of personalities down there are very similar in ways how they feel like they protect Kay. Well, I think Jane has different ideas. I think her purpose is a little more complex than the others. Well, I think Hammerhead, was also getting there too, and maybe Polly. But I think Jane definitely kind of stems in the way that she's different than the others in the way she protects her. Next with Madame Rouge, I do like seeing that she's trying to become a better leader and trying to be a better person, how she admits that she was a bad person, because she was, which I think she was a great film, by the way, I'm not complaining. Personally, I think Madame Rouge in this episode didn't get to really do much, but I did like seeing her turn to a bird and fly away. I like seeing her powers, and I like the idea that she can turn to different things that are a lot more useful in different moments. Because a lot of time, shapeshifters for some reason don't turn to animals, don't turn to anything else. So I think it's interesting to think that she could shapeshift into a bird and just fly away. Because I remember that being a thing with Mystique, that a lot of people think that Mystique should be able to turn to animals. And sometimes she does, but sometimes she really doesn't. Because that would mean she could potentially just fly away from literally anything, yet that's not really ever used. So I like seeing Madame Rouge do it. Next is Larry, who I want to talk about, and I really like his whole thing with 104. I also really, really like the fact that he knew Rita's movies by heart and knew them just by what they're about, by what happened because of them, who played who, what were the lines. I just really like that because I think it really showed how close him and Rita really are. I'm really happy to see more of them talking, and I'd like to see more of them becoming best friends again. Because I think they're great as friends, and I really like their closeness. Because there's something really there, I think, when it comes down to how they kind of bonded over their own tragedies and how they feel for one another as friends. Next, Cliff. I think Cliff, yet again, got the short end of the stick. Not appearing on screen for the first half of the episode, but yet again, it's really Rita's and Victor's episode. But I do think that Cliff deserved more. Since we're 3 episodes in and yet he's really done anything, it just seems like his story is always about to get ready, the whole I don't want to touch anyone except for my grandson angle, which I like, but I feel like it's just not being given enough time. Because last episode he was Rouge's sidekick, this time around he's Jane's sidekick, but regardless, I think he's a great character as being her father figure, and I like to see maybe more of Cliff as a character, being more of a, because I feel like the character has so far this season been more or less a side character. And for 104, I really like this character. In the comics, he's always been more of a gag character, but I think it's really interesting that he feels more like an actual character rather than a joke this time around. Also, I love the fact that he's played by the same actor who's going to reprise his blood work next season on The Flash. Although I will say, I didn't care much for his boss, Janice. Maybe I'll change my mind later in the season, but for now, I think 104 is more interesting. And that's it. Like always, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.